I would say it's more semi-monthly when I'm not traveling. I do a weekly webinar. I am Ryan Wilday, the lead analyst for the Crypto Waves service on ElliottWaveTrader. If you're interested in what I do here and want to check out more, you can get a free trial by clicking the link in my Twitter profile. Don't take any credit cards. Don't get any pressure calls. You will be on our marketing list, and you can also decline that after you start getting it. But yeah, so very low pressure. I'm not here to super push that, but let's dive in. For you folks that have been on this for a while, been coming to these for a while, know that I don't know, it was like 2021 or so. I started looking for a major top in Bitcoin, and I mean major in Bitcoin in the 125K area starting back then, and of course we hit 26,500 roughly, rounded about. Depending on the exchange, and seem to have started a bear market of sorts, right? So we've been down since then, since 2025 peak. And I can say from here, we have no sign of us, at least right now, breaking that all-time high, and are definitely in a bear market. What does this bear market mean? We'll go into my long-term chart. Now, I want to say this real quick. I should always use disclaimers. Nothing I'm giving you here is financial advice. I don't know anything about your portfolio, your risk, your approach to risk, how much skills you have in trading, and all of that. I would say too that I always reserve the right to change my mind. I am a trader. I risk manage first before I make money. And so when the market is going against what my perspective is, my expectation, I certainly cut and run. Or switch or take a different trade or whatever I need to do to risk manage. That is first to me before I make any money. And so I reserve the right to change my mind. We could be sitting here in the next month, the webinar, I could have a completely different perspective. That said, I would say that my perspective has been very, very consistent over the last 6 months since that top. And so market has done nothing to test that point of view. Even the rally we've had off the February low was somewhat expected, at least that we should have some kind of bear market rally. We certainly have seen it. I'm not of the perspective that it's done yet, but that also can change. All right, so just keep all of that in mind. I'm here to answer questions, but I'm not here with a crystal ball for sure. I just have an analysis technique that has worked for me in calling major tops and lows and tops in this market for many years now, actually going on a decade. All right, so Bitcoin's come down off the 2005 high. My perspective is, as a base case, again, my thoughts will change, is that we are in a long bear market that looks, I'm sketching it out in terms of form and structure, is what we call primary fourth in Elliott wave thinking. Before and 5, where does it go? It goes over 1 million. So I do believe Bitcoin will be one day over 1 million. I honestly, being in my 50s now, wonder if I'll see it in 1 million. But hey, you never know. Any of our lives can end any day. And that's going to be a long haul. But for now, I consider this a giant range trade. There is a chance, just when in Elliott wave, these B waves that are out here, any one of these can break to new all-time highs. The difference between that, it'll break to an all-time high and set up 1 million. It'll be briefly over that high, could get as high as 200, but then trap everyone that's chasing that one, expecting that 1 million price tag to happen now right away. And so be leery of those as we go. Structure between what happens off this 4 and what happens off this A to fill out, say, a B, is telling and generally readable as a corrective rally. There are some nuances. So Elliott wave is pretty good at saying, okay, this is very likely to be a trap. So based on structure. So we'll see when we get there. The next low that I'm looking at in the coming year can be anywhere from 55. So pretty bit wide range from 55K to this red line. 30K is where I expect a very tradable rally, possibly this B wave. There are other things. This is, again, a sketch for this bear market, but so hold off until then. This rally off the February low right now can be either a 4th wave in red or a B. I do prefer the B, and that gives us an opportunity for this to go higher. Doesn't have to. A B can top here, but the difference between is if it's a B, it'll take us down to 30. If it is a 4, it'll only take us down to 55 before the next chance at a rally. So anyway, so we have come to the top of the range, and man, this has been a range. This has been a range, a forever range. Honestly, it seems like we've been in it for a while, but almost we're going on 3 months now, right? And we have seen another rejection over the last week. I have, this definitely was an alternate of mine. I wanted us to break higher. We continue to be resistant, but finally it has succumbed to support levels that I've called out over last week in the service, and now is taking my alternate path, which is lower into a lower 2. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around getting all my accounts set. I did some work this morning, but some of it's a little sloppy. Let's see, let me call out where I expect this to go for now. And these targets and corrections are always nominal. They you can see extensions and whatnot, so that suggests doesn't go very low, but we have a 1-2 here, and it should at least go to 75. Okay. I got it pinned lower because we may see some fear in the market come and push it lower. But regardless where this lands, we'll watch for an impulsive rally to bounce in this blue zone between 68,760. By the way, subscribers, I moved this morning up $500 after doing a bunch of work on fibs, because this was based on the lower one, the 68,250. Now I have it at 68. We can round it off at 750. So between that and 75, I'll be looking for a rally up in the C wave. Where this bottoms will help guide the projection for that C wave. So I don't have a real hard number yet until I have a low, but it looks like it can reach 100K. Okay, man, I even think 100K is going to get a lot of people excited about all-time highs, right? You can see that big numbers, round numbers often excite the crowd. So if we do get up to 100K, that will probably be, we'll watch sentiment get a little hairy there. Really excited about 125K before people get trapped. But I don't see it likely to do all-time highs based on the structure we have. We're just seeing corrective structures off a low. In fact, you should feel that because we've been in a range for 3 months. This will feel like another range rejection as we break over this high here. We've had tons of that going on micro levels and swing levels and all of that stuff. So we're coming back into range right now. Now I want to say very clearly, because everything in the market is this, if this, then that of 68,750 breaks. My primary view and sustains, getting some bearish consolidation underneath it to indicate that it has sustained or will sustain. My primary view is that at least we go to 54 with the potential that if it's a B wave, we go all the way to 30. A lot of things about aspects of technicals make probably 30 from here unlikely, but that things can change. Technicals are always just a snapshot in time. So keep that in mind. 68, 750, below that, sustained, 54K is likely, possibly 30K. Okay, not primary view 30K. As long as 68, 750 is sustained, I expect this rally to reach as high as 100. There's always a chance after a B wave that it sustains and breaks down and breaks up. For those of you that are like cycle nerds, it's very typical for Bitcoin to come down to the 200-week. I think it's a 200-week moving average, and then rally up to the 50-week moving average. I haven't looked at that. Again, I don't really care about averages that much in my own trading, but looking up into there, I think we're somewhere at like 100K or something like that. Okay, I'm not knocking if you trade averages. It's just anything you trade, any technicals you trade, you just need to build your own risk management over how you use those. And averages was something I played with 25 years ago and just never really took into using them, except for a few certain things I look at them. So again, but just cycle nerds know this about those moving averages and the tendencies. So they tend to have a revisit of the 50K before the bear market resumes. So that's something to watch. I think it's like 100K or somewhere like 98K. Okay, all those are all reasonable ranges for this C wave, which the C wave is top of the B. What happened to my B wave? Yeah, it's over here. Let's put it right there. So anyway, so that's where we are at Bitcoin. Setup wise, trade wise, all of that. We'll see how it comes down. Again, it needs to continue to be corrective. If this morphs into 5 waves, breaks 68,750, any chance of a long setup is off the table. But there should be a long setup, at least if my expectation plays out. there should be a long setup showing up here. So in fact, I'll even be reaccumulating earlier. I had some perps on, some long perps. I took them all off. They were bought, most of them are bought around the February lows, or a little bit higher, but took them off. I would say nominally profitable, because it wasn't like it was just a giant trade. I mean, basically, I just watched my watch all of my funding rack up, hanging into this range, doing a little bit of other trading in alts. But yeah, I took them all off yesterday as we started to break, or maybe it was the day before. You guys, some of my subscribers know. The other thing I would say about this market in general is our alts have really turned into garbage. I'm going to actually give you 2 alt long setups that I see right now, but by and large, you can short the alts across the board right now with very little resistance. I would say just keep it small. Again, that is not advice. I'm just saying it's what I've been doing, and it's been really easy money. Okay, and like focusing on long opportunities in Bitcoin still, even though it's a bear market when it's at extremes, but shorting the altcoins, especially with Coinbase, now even if you're American, we can short them on Coinbase with perps. So beautiful, maybe some of you VPN into Hyperliquid and you short there, whatever. I still haven't played with that site, even though it's very popular. But yeah, so we have opportunity to short the crap out of these garbage alts, left and right. And that's largely what I've been pretty much doing. It's like a lazy river, like a lot of them. And I can list off examples that we've taken some short trades in. Took some of them off recently, but I'm ready to. I look at setups over the weekend. I'm starting to ready to put some back on, and I'll call out a couple of short setups I'm watching for in this webinar. So that is Bitcoin. I'm not going to look at questions right away. I'm going to go through Ether Bitcoin pair. But if you have questions about Bitcoin, do write them in, and I'll get to them. Ether, again, Ether long-term wise was a big miss to me. I've said that over and over. 10.5 was my bull market target. That was the yellow box. There is certainly a chance it can turn around and get there, but it has to stay over 1,300. The setup forming to me right now looks like a 1-2 in a larger A. And ultimately, this bear market, I expect to reach 80 over many, many years. With, again, same thing with Bitcoin. This B wave could rally over the all-time high. So sometimes one of the things that happens to Elliott wave is you get a miss on the impulse, and sometimes the B wave makes it up. So maybe this B wave gets 10.5. And everyone will call that a bull market, right? From an Elliott wave perspective, it's a corrective rally, but corrective rallies do sometimes break over all-time highs. So whatever the language, this B wave might reach 10.5 in the coming years, but we'll see. But right now, I expect, let's see, what's my target? Let me get a target, rough target. I don't know where this 2 is going to top. I will put a guess on it that perhaps it reaches, roughly around 3,500. That is my nominal. So this could be down at 336 later in the year. There is an alternate where we only extend to the A equals C, which would be right around 1,000, and then see another rally. So that would be an alternate I need to build into. But it looks like an ugly year coming in Ether for sure, at least for right now until something changes. Yeah, so that's Ether going in. It has very much the same structure as Bitcoin, but weaker. And so as long as it holds over 2040, 2035, that's this blue line. I have them all like sort of at where my fib hit, but I'm giving you rounded numbers when I call them out. I'm going to start actually tagging them to what I'm rounding. So as long as it holds over 2035, or at least breaks it nominally, doesn't sustain under it, I do see a rally up into the 32 to 34 region, potentially in the C of the circle 2, and that will be an opportunity to short. But as long as hold out, if this breaks, then we'll start to see that decline towards 1,200. If 2040 breaks, 2035 breaks, sustains, you will start to decline down to 1,200 and possibly even under 1,000. So that's where we're at. So again, if this then that, if this setup breaks, then I'll be looking lower. But I am watching this setup. I'm not trading Ether right now except short. I'm not trading it at all right now. I don't have a position other than some scratch in my some dust in my DeFi wallets. But in terms of trading this bear market, I'm not longing it at all. I only tend to short it when the opportunity is there. But right now, it's more of a long forming up. Again, my longs are focused on Bitcoin only because it's healthier. You look at the Bitcoin Ether, you look at the altcoin Bitcoin pairs, none of them look good except for a few, like the 2 long setups I'm going to catch up probably look good. I haven't looked at them, but by and large, if you look at any of those Bitcoin based pairs, they look like garbage. So you can even do, and I'll bring Ether up Bitcoin right now, which you can be basically relatively long Bitcoin, relatively short Ether on a notional value, and just make bank while being very risk tolerant, right? Because when in rallies your Bitcoin goes up, in just ends up when the drop happens that the Ether right now is just outrunning Bitcoin, and I expect the Ether Bitcoin pair to continue on to 0.01 during this cycle right now, or this bearish move. And it's also worth noting that this was never bullish during the bull market, so now it's just accelerating to the downside. So for all you Ether maxis out there, you don't looking good right now, to be honest. And this pair has been quite a disaster over the coming year. Can it change at some point? For sure. And I'm at least right now looking for a rally around 0.01 in the future. That can change, of course. I can start seeing a reason for something to show earlier at some point in time, but this has never really shaken my perspective for a couple years now, which is wild. It's been pretty consistent. So yeah, that is the status of the market. That is the status of Bitcoin, Ether. Again, I'm going to get into 5 setups I'm watching. 2 of them I'm in, but there may be opportunities to add to coming up. And actually I added to one this morning, which I'll go over. But in the meantime, any questions on those? Again, bottom line, we are in an extended bear market until future insight changes my mind. That bear market could last for years. That said, even in a bear market, we get really intense bullish rallies. And from a perspective of a non-Elliott Wave person, some of those rallies will be considered a new cycle or a new bullish cycle. But I expect them to be weaker than the past ones for many years. Eventually, there will be mother of all rallies to 1 million. But again, I really question whether I'll be alive for that. It just really depends on how long this sideways action goes. The range of this, it's just really worth saying that the expected potential range of the bear market that I'm talking about is anywhere, on the really low end, 10K. Again, 10K is not a primary view, but possibly it's always a possibility. And on the high end, 200K would not be out of the question. So that gives a lot of opportunity to trade a range. Huge, right? You can make a lot of money in the bear market if it takes on that range. The problem is when you buy lows, you never really get a giant guarantee about how high that rally is going to be. So you just have to manage your risk as you go. It's generally advisable if you're going to long, make your position smaller and all that stuff. But and at the same time, opportunity to just accumulate Bitcoin bigly for the future. And if you're younger, you really have a huge opportunity in front of you. So you have to do it slow as we go. So yeah, any questions? You guys are pretty quiet. So if you guys have been here over many cycles, nothing's changed, right? You've been here over many months. Nothing really has changed other than, especially now that the market has gone sideways for a couple months. But yeah, any questions at all? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll move on. Maybe a short webinar, but just if you think your questions, type them in. I'll move on to setup. So I've just picked 5 charts that I think are interesting in the coming week. That's always tough in a bear market. Long hype is one, which I'll touch on. Possibly short Galaxy Digital. Possibly that one's probably the worst, or the more setup that requires more patience. I don't want to say worst, but it's not ripe yet, ready to go. Solana is interesting because I expected higher, but is really starting to break down. So we'll talk on that. Sui, another surprise breakdown, and then Zcash for the long. All right, so I'll hit hype first. So hype is one. I was really resistant to this chart, but I've finally started to trade it. I'm not going to call. So again, bear markets. In bear markets, bull action, even when it's sort of like the only bull action I can find, tends to be pretty sloppy, and this one is definitely in that camp. When we zoom out on this chart, just give you context, it's a big ABC, possibly turns into diagonal up into the 3 digits, but really skeptical of that. So just to give warning of context, is by no means quality, but it still gives potential for, you know, for this uptrend to continue. It's been consolidating lately. There's a couple ways to see this. If it breaks 36, this B can come in lower, but as long as it holds 36, it's at least should, well, that can be at least be indicated as this circle 2. I'm going to make this black real quick because this has played out. And then secondarily, when I go into smaller time frames, we have potential, but maybe less probable is even an immediate one too. And I think we're right at support level here. And I added to the trade with some cash left over. Yeah, and this is good down to 40. So I'm going to add a line here. So we have a support level at 40. Blue lines are always support. And then if that breaks, we have another support at 36, and we finally have a last one at 23. I'm not going to stay in this trade below 36 because it's just you know, why deal with a 50% decline? Not that my position's heavy, but I'm gonna call the risk on that. But right now, as long as, you know, we've got a couple levels where this immediate setup. We do have 5 waves. Apparently, there's an ETF on this now, and that's what started this pop. Often news like that makes pops temporary, so it may break down, but I'm playing it to see if it lasts, and we should see it start to reverse this weekend if that's the case. Target wise, let me get the immediate target. So this projects only to 66 on the micro, but on the macro, I'm just renewing all of my fibs here. We should at least get, yeah, 66, 69 is corresponds. I'm doing confluence of 3 fib levels. Just check myself, and this says, yeah. So I get levels of 59 to 66 and 59 to 69 based on 3 levels of fibs. That's decent enough confluence, all coming together at least over 60, and that could be that would be this top in this 3rd wave, and then we'll do support for this 4th wave. If it's possible that this 3 ends up topping there, but it looks like it'll be unfinished there. And then we'll add support for the 4th wave. And then when that breaks, it should hunt the channel down here in this 4th before we get a final move into 100, which should end this entire bullish cycle for this one. So that one's one to watch on the long side. The other long is Zcash. Again, all similar things said. I mean, Zcash was one of the ones I traded in 2017 and just forgot about, and it really woke up in the last couple of years. That said, to be very clear, this is a diagonal, which is a very terminal pattern, which should reach up into 1500 if everything works out. The alternative is actually it's a B, because this is a corrective rally, so it doesn't look sustainable. The alternative is actually it's a B wave with a nominal high, and then we retest the support level at 155. So it can either reach up into 1500 and break from there on a long-term basis, or just range in here and retest this region. So I'm at a base level looking at this as a range trade. Breaking 155 would be long-term bad. So just giving you guys the context on that. And then short-term, I had taken profit into this 3-wave rally. I still have a holding, but right now we're coming down into 452 is the A equals C projection for this wave 4, and ideally it holds 4444 in this rally. If it breaks 444, then it would be in this wave 4 and would need to hold this wave 2 at 320. So I can do a support region between 444 and what I say 330 roughly, 320 roughly. We can use that as a region where it's reasonable to take this trade, and then the target is 860, the next target, and then after this 4, it would be 1500. Okay, so that's a decent trade. All right, and then a Galaxy, I'll just say real quick, probably the Galaxy trade. So we're coming into a major level, a major bull and bear pivot, which is at 36. The chart primarily on a long term at least should be bearish here, but it's a trickier chart, so it's not a given. And what I want to see in this one is a break of 23, and then a wave 2 pullback to short down into 7 with an ultimate target of 2. But if we get a nice clean 1-2 out of this short term, actually that's a pretty clean wave. Actually, that's a pretty clean wave 1 just with no support broken is the problem. But if I see a, I'll just show what it looks like. If I see a wave, a little bit of a drop this week, and then a corrective rally, at least might get some shorts started via put. I don't short shares personally. I trade put options. I may do that, and I'm probably going to trade this with a long-term put, like January. January is a lot of Vega, so I'm going to go nerd out on Greeks for a bit. January is a lot of Vega. So that's a bit of an issue. So I'll have to do at the money to try to get as much gamma out of it as possible. Okay, so we option geeks, generally when you trade long-term options, you're trading Vega, not Delta, and not gamma. So anyway, but it's a long-term short, so I want to do something like that. So we'll watch that form. It's not ready to trade yet, but maybe there's a shot at it. I would not be a sizable shot since that's the early move with support being 23. It could just hit 23 and bounce right back off. So, but might take a small shot in that. Solana is interesting because I wanted to see 100 and it's starting to break. This is a deep move. It is possible if this bounces sizable and becomes this B and even breaks that high, it may actually, after forming a 4, take a shot up at 100. So it has a chance. But what I'm watching now, since we're breaking, and if it breaks 2, it's done. That's 81. I would be watching for a setup after that. So this is one to watch as well, but it really moved quite quick into basically the edge this A of 4 can go. Maybe it's all of this 4, but this is really not typical to see a very direct 4. 4s tend to widen up, get complex before they rally in 5, kind of range a bit. That's their tendency. So it is possible it's a 4, but I prefer to call this either an A or a breakdown. So that is what I'm watching as well. And then last is SUI, which I expected to move up here. It is not too late, but it's again same thing as Solana. It is very direct for this move. It's not 5 waves yet in this wave 1 yet, but I am expecting it to hit 50 at some point. The question is whether it is starting now or later. If it breaks $1, I would be afraid that I would not be able to get in the trade because it would be moving quite quick, but that certainly would lock it in. You can basically rule out seeing the dollar move up to $1.50 before it gets this short set up. We'll have chances in SUI later down the road after this 5th wave completes. There'll be a big wave 2 coming after that. But yeah, I'm hoping it can get a good setup. Again, I don't chase. This breakdown was fast. Same thing with Solana. I don't chase breakdowns. I want to get after the breakdown, I want to get the corrected pullback up, so I get a good price. But I will be interested in being short perps in this one as well to trade this bear market. A lot of, there's setups right now, and I can go on and on. I've seen bear setups in Doge this week. I've seen bear setups in ADA this week, so I go on and on. But I don't have the ability to go through all of those right now. But yeah, that's where we're at. Any questions at all, guys? Usually there are tons of questions in these public webinars, so I'll hang out a little bit. Somebody's got to be thinking something. Going once, going twice. All right. I am going to get the video up, get the charts up. I will post it to market service, the video to market service. If any questions come up, if you are in the market service, you can reply to the thread that I created, where I created the link. If you are, of course, you know where to find me if you're in CryptoWave service. And then if you want to hit me up on Twitter, questions come up later, by all means. I will also get this video up on Twitter later today as well. So watch out for that. And you all enjoy. What about coin? Coin, I don't have a setup in coin right now. It's basically a bear market range. So I didn't put it on my choices for the public webinar today. So that's why I didn't cover it. All right, any other questions? Any specific questions on the charts that I covered? All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Yeah, you guys are just asking questions for charts that I didn't plan to cover because I don't have an immediate setup. All right, talk to you guys later, and I will see you on the board or see you in Twitter if you guys have questions. Talk to you guys later.